So the trade proposal, bear with me. I lost, but I know it's Duclair and Bergen coming back. I know there's a pick involved, right? Is it a 4th round pick next year?
A 2026 fifth.
2026 fifth, right? Okay. I don't like this package in any way, shape, or form, like whatsoever.
Okay, how come?
I don't mind their justification. So the way they justify it is saying like the Islanders are in a bit of a rebuild. Okay, kind of true. Yep. They're looking to get younger. Sure. And this Bergen kid is 25 years old. Okay, fine. But what does he bring to the table exactly? The fact that he's really good at the AHL and he's got good SHL numbers. Like the kid's almost point per game at the AHL level in the last 3 seasons, I believe. Really good AHL numbers, but when it gets to the NHL, there's just nothing going. Like he's been there 3 years, and his best year was last year with like 24 points.
Yeah, he's exactly that. I was going to say 24 points in 75 games. 2 years ago, 28 points in 67 games. Not really someone who has kind of come into his own yet at the NHL level. I personally don't really think there's much there.
No.
It's just if the Islanders want the cap dump and essentially to get out of this the contract of Anthony Duclair. So I don't think I'm as quick as you to say no to this deal. Not that I'm like pounding the table that like you absolutely have to trade Anthony Duclair and that it's a no-brainer to bring in, Berggren, who again hasn't really done all that much at the NHL level. On a lot of these times in these cap dump situations in recent Islanders history, they were attaching, second round picks to get out of guys like, Josh Bailey as an example. They traded away Andrew Ladd and had to attach a bunch of picks for that. They actually got some picks back for Nick Leddy, and that was in a way a bit of a cap dump, but I think Leddy had some more value at that point in time than what Duclair has when you consider the year he's coming off of and how much term is left on his contract.
Yeah. So the thing that they kept bringing up in the article is that the Islanders and Duclair feuded. There was a feud. I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm probably just being like semantic bitch about it. But that's not the right word. Who cares, right? The argument still remains the same, that there was some tension between the two sides.
Yes.
And rightfully
with the head coach.
Yeah. But he's back and he wants it. And he plays the way that the team wants to play, with speed. Right? Like we went over his stats the other day in terms of like his speed stats, and he's one of the faster players in the league, at least in the top 10 percentile anyways, for speed bursts and whatnot. Whereas this Berggren kid is very much not, over his last 3 years, below 50th percentiles for top skating speed. And like, he's a young kid. You'd think that he's, would be fast, although maybe not, maybe still has to develop that. But I don't expect a kid who's below 50th percentile to just all of a sudden turn into a speed demon. He might get up to the 65th to 70th percentile at his best. And that's a hell of a drop off from what we got with Duke.
No, it is a big drop off. And I don't know. And maybe like I'm looking at it the wrong way. And this is where our conversation can go.
Right.
To me, it's really not about what the Islanders are getting back in this deal. Fair. It's about getting out of a contract that doesn't look very good. Now, you could be holding out hope, and maybe someone's more optimistic than I am about Anthony Duclair and what he can do this year on the Islanders. I just see the logjam of forwards that the Islanders have, and I'm going, I don't know where he fits, because we talked about this on the last show where we're like, where is this guy going to be in the lineup? And, based off of play last year, I don't think he played well enough to, get a top 6 spot guaranteed. At the same time, I think I would think that he starts out on the third line with Pajot, but I don't know if he's going to be crazy productive on a line with JG Pajot. So it kind of feels like he's stuck in no man's land.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm probably too focused on the return. Right, like blinders for Berggren. That's not the right thing, but you're right. The bigger picture here is, where does Anthony Duclair fit in this lineup, and is $4 million too much? Now, when you mentioned like some people might be a little bit more optimistic, I pointed to myself. So all those with video would have seen that. And I still believe that I think you can get more for this guy if you give him more. I think that we saw right? We talked about it like the preseason and the first couple of games before the injury. Things were going really well, productive at a like 60-point clip type of thing, obviously paced out. If we get a 50 to 60 guy, that value goes higher. And we're not having to attach things for maybe just because of the contract, but like we might have to give out another 7th or something like that instead of, a 5th round pick, which still 5th round pick isn't a big deal. But you're giving out less to move it off after another year. And maybe you're getting yourself into a better prospect than someone like Bergeron, who's not even technically a prospect, I guess, at 25 years old. Maybe you're getting yourself into a guy who also doesn't have a spot on a specific team. Like I look at that 2019 draft and I think of Ville Heinola in Winnipeg, although I don't know if he's necessarily got a full-on space or basically someone of that ilk instead of a Bergman. And again, I'm focusing on the specific player, but I think there's a possibility here where if we wait a year, we might be able to get more for Duclair. I keep wanting to do it in French and English, and it's just not working. We can get more for him after a better year than what we've seen last year.
And to be fair, it definitely would be selling at the lowest for Anthony Duclair. And I guess part of it, too, is two things for me. One, how much of the relationship has been repaired between Patrick Roy and Anthony Duclair? I would think because he played with Patrick Roy in the past, and I thought that was a big reason for why he signed. I think there's a chance that obviously that it could be repaired. And I think it depends on what role they see him in. Because, towards the end of the year, obviously we know he leaves the team and wasn't with them for the final however many games. But it felt like Patrick Roy didn't really know what to do with him because he wasn't playing up to par. And I don't know, again, if that was just like, hey, I'm still hurt and trying to play through it and I just don't have it, or what that is. So if they're confident that this is someone who's going to go back to kind of being what he's been, which is a 20-goal scorer and 40-point guy, a little bit of a different story. But if they're kind of looking at the roster going, I don't really know where we're going to fit this guy in, but we have him for 3 more years, I think that changes things a little bit.